All right. Once again, I am Hans.
And I am Franz, and we just want to pump you up.
At age 42, Arnold Schwarzenegger is so big, it takes 2 men to parody him on Saturday Night Live.
Welcome to Mars.
You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here.
Look who's talking.
He's so popular that his next picture, Total Recall, already feels like a hit, even though it won't be in theaters till summer.
Melina, got to tell you something.
What?
I don't remember you. I don't remember us. I don't even remember me.
He's so athletic, he's been named chairman of the President's Council on Physical Fitness.
Basically, what I'm trying to do is to make everyone aware of the importance of physical fitness. Everyone has to participate and do some physical activity, some vigorous physical activity every day for at least 20 to 30 minutes.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is smart and driven. He's living testimony to the power of a strong self-image and single-minded determination.
And for the chest.
So
Very
my
good.
lateral pectosis?
That's right, yes. And exhale on the way down.
Exhale on the way down. It's enough
Exhale
that I'm
on the way down.
breathing.
It's a wonderful exercise. Give me 4 more. Come on. Yes. I tell you, when you go home,
I
you can wear a bikini. You're ready for action.
I'm ready for it. I'm ready
Good,
for
that's
a
enough.
rest. He was born in the small village of Graz, Austria in 1947. His father was the police chief. His mother worked at home, raising Arnold and his older brother. These were the post-World War II years, and life was hard. At age 15, Arnold discovered bodybuilding. He realized this was his ticket to see the world. By 1970, Arnold had made it to the top, Mr. Olympia, and he was asked to come to America to write articles on the sport. Within months, he was cast in a low-budget film called Hercules in New York, but his accent was so strong that they dubbed in another actor's voice.
I've been here thousands of years. I'm tired of the same old faces.
Next came an offbeat movie with Jeff Bridges called Stay Hungry. Arnold got to play someone more like himself, and the critics were impressed.
I don't like being too comfortable. Once you get used to it, it's hard to give up. I'd rather stay hungry.
Your muscles get a really tight feeling, like your skin is going to explode any minute. You know?
Then in 1977, Arnold starred in Pumping Iron.
It just blows up, and it feels different. It feels fantastic.
He single-handedly proved that men who had muscles could also have brains and sex appeal. Only Arnold could turn a low-budget documentary into a star vehicle. There was something charming and charismatic about him that transcended bodybuilding.
One and only Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Still, it was another 5 years before his big movie break came in Conan the Barbarian.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
2 years later, he established himself as the king of action pictures by playing a merciless robot killing machine in The Terminator. Since then, he's had a string of big-budget action pictures that have made a fortune. But in 1988, he took a risk. He made a film where he had to be funny and didn't get to kill anybody. He starred with Danny Devito in Twins, and it's been his biggest hit of all.
Take out the papers and the trash, or you don't get no spending cash. If you don't scrap that kitchen floor, you ain't gonna rock and roll no more. Yakety yak. Don't talk back. Da, 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 da.
On the personal front, in 1986, Arnold married television journalist Maria Shriver, daughter of Sergeant and Eunice Kennedy Shriver, and became a member of the Kennedy family. An interesting match since Arnold's a Republican.
And I wouldn't be anywhere else but right here today to support the Republican Party and George Bush for President of the United States.
His Venice, California office tells the story of his life. Posters of all the movies, good and bad, hang in the wall. The walls are glass. Arnold has little to hide. He's the embodiment of the American dream, and then some. He merchandises his name through a mail-order business that caters to the bodybuilding crowd who still remember these trophies and his days as a different kind of champion. The photos on his wall testify to personal as well as political bonds. A climate-controlled case displays his favorite cigars. The sword from Conan is here. The wedding congratulations telegram from President Reagan. And the photo of his wife, Maria, and their 3-month-old baby, Catherine Eunice.
I would say a half a day after the baby was born, Maria's parents flew in. And she was so happy, Eunice, you know, and she looked at it and she says, "Oh, Maria, the face is exactly like you. Oh, look at those eyes. They're beautiful. They're just like Maria's eyes. They're beautiful. And look at the fingers, the long fingers, just like Grandpa Joe Kennedy. Look at him." And all this stuff was going on. I mean, she picked body part by body part, and it was all Kennedy and Shriver, of course, the kid, right? So then I, of course, I took a lot of pictures and put the photo album together for everyone, and including one for my mother. My mother called me that night after my nephew arrived and gave her the photo album and says, "Arnold, I couldn't believe it. I opened up this album that you sent me, and it's a total Schwarzenegger. It's unbelievable. It has your father's forehead, it has your lips, the hands, everything, the way it smiles. It's totally a Schwarzenegger. I mean, does Maria mind that this kid looks so much like a Schwarzenegger?" So, I mean, so everyone has their own interpretation of what the kid looks like.
Tell me about your childhood. Tell me about your father, because he had a great influence on you.
He was a police officer, and so he brought, with that job, a lot of discipline came into the house. And everything was quite different than what I see now here, of course, because, like, for instance, we were not allowed to speak on a dinner table or at breakfast. There was the time to eat. Everyone was sitting totally in silence, eating.
Today you have a life with everything you could want around you. But when you were a little kid, did you have flushing toilets?
We,
refrigerators
no.
or washing machines?
No, yeah. Nothing. We had nothing. I mean, we had the first refrigerator that we got in our house was when I was 14 years old. And I remember that I got in touch with all my school buddies. And I told them, I said, "You guys got to come home." I said, "Today they delivered the refrigerator." And they all said, "What, you guys are going to get a refrigerator?" I said, "Your father must make a lot of money." And this is when I came to America. I remember that the things that people complained about, I thought were absolutely fantastic. To me, everything was just so wonderful, and I became like the most enthusiastic spokesperson for America. I was running back to Europe saying, "This place is incredible. This is absolutely fantastic. You should see the wide streets and the way people live. They all have great luxuries and all this." So to me, this was really, I think I appreciated it much more than anyone else did.
How did you get into bodybuilding in the first place?
I remember it very clearly. I walked into this weightlifting gym without a trainer, and I saw a guy in front of me squatting with around 300 pounds, which I thought it was Hercules doing his thing there. I mean, the guy looked enormous, he looked muscular, and I saw him squatting there and taking the weight down and walking over and doing a bench press and then walking somewhere else and doing 20 chin-ups. And I looked at this and I said, "I can't believe this. This is what I want to do. I want to look like this."
In Pumping Iron, you said, something you've said since, that lifting weights was like having an orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us more.
Well, this is what I said before I met Maria. Now I changed my mind.
Tell me anyway.
What do you want to know?
What you used to say about it. You know, the next best thing to Maria is lifting weights. Why?
No, you have to understand that I am a marketing guy. I will say sometimes things that will catch people's attention.
That did.
That did, exactly. And when I made this statement about sex, I said, you know, that a good pump is better than having sex. Then people said, "Is that right? Wow, I better try that out. That must feel terrific."
Is
and
that
they
right?
all stood in line in
right?
a gym. No, it's not right, of course not. But they all stood in line at the gym, and they all went to the gym to try it out.
Were women ever turned off by all the muscles? I mean, I remember looking at some of the, you know, guys, and truthfully, Arnold, I didn't feel turned on. It was almost too much.
Well, first of all, I don't think that one trains for the world championships in any sport in order to turn on women. I think the bottom line is to win. I could care less what women thought of the whole thing. I didn't train for women.
But did it turn them on?
I never had
never
an
thought about
experience
it?
where someone walked away from me and said, this muscles turned me off. Maybe they were scared of saying it, who knows? But I mean, a lot of women, of course, when I went out with them, said, you know, I just want to make sure you understand that I don't like it just for your body.
Sure.
I mean, I love your brain. I say, yeah, sure, that's a good one.
When you first came to this country, your name is Schwarzenegger.
Mm-hmm.
You have an accent. Did anybody take you seriously when you said you wanted to act? What did they say?
Well, Barbara, every time you tell people that you want to do something big,
Yeah.
you want to get to the top in anything, they will say you're crazy, you can never do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the very thing that I need to get inspired and to get hungry. I really get hungry when people say, you can't do it.
Yeah.
That's when I really get the drive. I felt, well, if this is the case, then maybe that I can use all those things and become unique. And maybe it's better to be unique because people then will remember you much more rather than being one of millions out there. And then later on, people came to me and said exactly the opposite. When I remember after the Conan movies and when I did Commando and Terminator, people came to me and said, you know, this Terminator movie would have never worked if you wouldn't have had that accent because you sounded like a robot. The Conan movies never would have worked if you wouldn't have had an accent or the body. And then the name Schwarzenegger, I mean, after people remember the name, they would never be able to forget it. What an asset, how strong. And so it all turned around.
Let's talk about Maria. I've known Maria since she was a very little girl, as you know. But when you met Maria and people heard you were going to get married, again, there was this, here is this girl from an intellectual family, from the royal family, practically, of America, marrying Arnold Schwarzenegger, bodybuilder. What do they have in common? So, you tell us.
I think it was just love. I remember very clearly when I met her the first night, and I saw her dancing out on the dance floor, which was at the Robert F. Kennedy tennis tournament. The night before, they always have a dance. I said, this girl is so much fun, and she's funny, and she's witty, and she's smart, and all this stuff, and she has this energy in her eyes, she really wants to live life, you know, that it came out of her face. And I just enjoyed that so much, and I wanted to get together with her then more and more, and it became like a regular kind of relationship.
Here is the #1 Democratic family in the country. You are not only a Republican, but you campaigned for George Bush. What if it were George Bush versus Ted Kennedy?
Then it maybe would be a different ballgame, because then it's family involved, and then maybe we'll stay out of that.
Arnold, what makes one guy a champion, one person a champion, and the other one not?
It's drive. It's the will. There's certain people that grow up with a tremendous hunger, and it's usually kids that have struggled when they were kids. When you grow up comfortably, and in comfort and in peace and happiness and all those things, that will produce a very balanced person and a good person, but it will not create the will and the determination and the hunger that you need to be the best in the world.
Do you have a philosophy by which you live?
Staying hungry. That's it.